Welcome again, everyone. I can see you all
conference.
introducing yourself in the chat. Welcome and thank you for joining the second live stream. So I would hand over to your cohort instructor, Edward. Edward, you're on the call, right?
Yes, I'm in the call.
Oh, hi, Edward. Thank you for joining us this evening. So I'll be handing over to you to put us through another amazing section. The last section was really, really fun. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Thank you. So you can take over.
Okay, thank you, Maria. It's a nice session. It's another session today, and we continue from where we stopped last week and understanding Power BI and being able to do one or two things with Power BI. So my question, I'm going to ask the first question. My first question is, please, if you know you started reading, I know there are a lot of materials that was shared on the group. So as anybody who has I think we've spent like almost 2 weeks now, please, if you've done well to read through those materials and you have questions, please can you identify yourself, because I appreciate when people go outside their comfort zone to learn. That is showing their passion and the interest they're having towards learning. So if you started learning, please just say hi or yes on the chat, because the 1 hour this sessions is not enough. So the best way we can maximize this session is you come up with questions, and I try as much as possible to provide answers to that question, because what gives knowledge is question, not the answer. And for us to be able to get the knowledge we require from this session, we need to be hands-on, and that is we being able to test it. I see that the data was shared, and I hope at least we try to at least do some things with the data that was shared. So from the chat, I can only see one person saying hi. So that means most of us, or maybe some of us, were busy, or maybe some of us are shy. So just to reiterate that there's a need for a hands-on whereby you learn, you do, and that is how you get the knowledge. It's by doing, because it's an act. Okay, so I'm just going to do a brief recap on what we did last week. So I'm going to share my screen now. Okay. Okay. So this is where we stopped last week, and the few recap I'm going to do is last week we talked about how do we get data into our environment, and we made use of a flat file. So we uploaded our flat files. Our case study sample file for this is the financial data. So we just click on it, and we click open. So after opening, we're able to load it into the Power BI environment. So that is that. So those are things we did last week, and we're able to do some transformation. I'm going to show us that the transformations that was done on the data. So I'm right clicking on the data, and just I want to go through this part to say, okay, let me edit this query. Okay, so we did some few things last week. So the last time we met, that is extracting different features from our date columns. So I know we extracted the year from the date, we extracted months from the date also, and I think that's one of the major. Okay, we extracted the week from the date too. So those are kind of transformations. We do a proud transformation before we load data into the environment, so that we can so that data can be rich enough. And I remember I also said something about splitting, how we can split. So in a situation whereby you have probably if you have a column that is having more than one information joined together in one column. How do you split it? And That's the last time we met. I said something about different ways at which you can split. I'm looking for one of the best example I can use. Okay, let me use this. So different way we can split. We can split by position and a lot of things. So in this case, say okay, position. Maybe just want to split by the second position. And just say okay, split. So you see, it's going to split it into from second position downward. So there are lots of things we learned last week, and today we are going to continue. And I'm not going to be too technical, and I'm not going to be so theoretical, but I'm going to be more practical. And being practical is telling us what we do in the industry, like things I see, like requests I see regarding Power BI. I think I've done one or two projects majorly with Power BI. So we'll be working ourselves through those practical class. So yes, and we stopped here last week. We stopped at the point whereby we uh we try create visuals, and you see last week. So the last time we met, sorry, it's like 2 weeks now. Sorry. So we created basic plot. It's a direct thing, but something that is not so direct is that what are the theory, or what are the theory guiding everything we do, the choice of color, how do we align how do we lay out our slide. So understanding how to lay out is also one of the biggest thing. And I said something last week. I think I raised questions, and I'm going to raise more questions today. And every question that will be raised today, we are going to do them. Like it's going to be practical. It's going to be flexible. So I won't be the one that's. I won't be the all-knowing teacher here. We're all going to do it together. It's going to be engaging. We're going to ask questions, try it, and see how it's going to work. So one of the thing I said 2 weeks ago was that when you are creating visuals, you tell a story. So you don't just say, okay, I want to check which country has the highest say sales. You first check, okay, what's the total sales? Because in analytics, the way the mind works is you need to make out a story, especially analytics. So I want you to see this training beyond Power BI. It is going to analytics like how do I generate insight, and how will I be able to give the best insight to my stakeholders. So now when you're talking about you don't just bring about uh, I need to identify the country with the highest sales. But you should go ahead to say, okay, now what is the total sales within the period I'm considering? So you tell the story from what is the total sales? And sometimes it will be good to say, okay, how many customers, how many record do I even have? How many transactions was made? So it's like, so you start with the most basic. Most of the time, when you're plotting your visuals, you think you care about, okay, let me just answer the objective, but it won't be answered well enough if you don't start from the basic, from the most basic question. If you don't tell the story, um where I was trained, we always ask, please start from the most basic. So if you are trying to start from the most basic question, not going to the advanced question now, is how many transactions, like how many transaction was made. Then we now talk about what is the total sales. Then we now talk about what is total profit. So now to do that, so we just need to add just need to add a count. So what can we count? So we just need to count. Um, I'm looking for the best field that will give us that count. Okay, because we don't have a primary key. Mm, I'm just going to use this um No, we don't have our primary key, but I wish we do, but we can still get something out of it. Okay. Okay, fine. So the total count of transaction we had is 5,000 transactions. So now, so the business will be able to understand that from 5,000 transactions, sorry, this is showing products. No, sorry, this is showing first product. So we can configure this a bit. Let's just configure it and see. Okay, let's just count. So what I did here was count. So what I did here was like after dragging the product, I do a right click on my field, and there are a lot of aggregation that we can do. We can just okay pick the first value. So I think that was what was displaying before, or the last value, or okay, let's say count distance. So if you're counting distance, in this case, just gonna count distance product, and I guess we have like just maybe 5 or 6 distinct products. But when we use count now, that means it's counting how many rows do we have. So we are just using this to improvise for our primary key that we don't have. So we are counting how many products, how many rows do we have. So now we are having 700 transactions. So not to confuse us, so I can just rename this. I'm very sorry that this is not. I'm not. It's practical. So I'm going to be doing a lot of things at the time. So not following one specific order. I'm going to be doing them as the need comes. So and because it's an add-on class, Anton. So for instance now, this count, I don't want to see this count like this, and what I just need to do is I can rename it. So okay, I can just say count of transactions. Fine. So just press enter. That's fine. So that we will not get confused about what this is saying. So like I was saying, there's a need to tell a story. So you tell the story from how many transactions do I have? So talking about we have 700 transactions, and from that 700 transactions, we made a sales of 118 million and a profit of 16 million. So that's making sense, and that's fine. So last week we also said something about filter. So one advantage about Power BI is that, especially dashboards, Power BI and the likes of Tableau, is that you can add filter. So if you're not using tools like Power BI, you need to say replicate this slide for multiple products. Most of the time, maybe if you are making this report, this corresponding report with maybe say PowerPoint, you need to replicate this in multiple sheets, and it's going to be a repetitive task, and it's going to be time consuming, and it's going to look boring. But with a filter, you can apply a filter, and you're good to go. You can you can see the view from different dimensions. So that's when you talk about you are slicing or you are dicing, you are breaking down into different bits. So the filter is going to help you in slicing your results to the particular say group which you care for. So that's that. Now, another thing we'll be talking about today is there are times whereby you need to create what they call a measure. So, what do we call a measure? So, measure are just like extra calculation. You see, I'm not using. So you can look up, you can go online and read more, but I'm just saying this in a more practical way. So, measures are most of the time they use big grammars, but now we are going to just see it as an extra calculation. Like, okay, I want to calculate something. I want to have an extra statistic. So, example, there are some outcoded measures on Power BI. For instance, now, if I click on this chart now and I right click on my value, which is my profit, so these are also measures that I currently have. example of the measure I have here is I can see the sum, I can see the average, I can see the minimum, maximum based on what you feel you'll be needing. So, for instance, now, in case of this now, the measure here should be sum because we want to sum all transactions. And I hope that's what we do here too. Okay, sum. So those are different measures. So you can pick average too. Okay, I want to check the average, say average sales per country. And we can also have other measures that we can use. So you can set the maximum. If your concerned variable is probably a categorical, or maybe depending on the case study, maybe you want to see what is the maximum transaction, what is the highest sales that was made in France. So you can just pick a maximum. So with that, okay, you said okay, you can see that the maximum sale is close to 1 million in Canada and 0.9575 million in Germany. So you can there are different if there are different cases of using all these measures. So but you just need to understand that this thing exists, and that's why we're here. So you know that this thing exists because most of the time knowledge is knowing. So sometimes you don't maybe you don't cram everything, don't put everything up into your mind like, okay, I know it, A for A, B for B. But sometimes knowledge is knowing, having the knowledge that this thing exists. So having the knowledge that this thing exists, so when you understand that this thing exists with time, you get to research it and say, okay, how can I use it better? So that's that. So we have different measures. But in a situation whereby maybe we need a measure outside this, then we talk about we creating extra measure. So now when creating extra measure, we use what we call the DAX. We use what we call the DAX function. So okay, now take us to page 2. Okay. So as not to waste most of our time, so I did some some sample measure so that so that I can use that to explain. Okay, so now but in a situation where you want to create a new measure, and anytime you are creating a new measure, you need to be sure of what you want to do. Like, like what is the extra calculation that is not that you don't have that you want to do? So that's what leads you to create an extra measure. So there are times you just feel like, okay, I need to have an extra aggregate. I need to have extra filter. I need to also work on my date. Probably I know there was a time when I was working with Fabi. I need to check. Okay, I want to check maybe some of my revenue within the last 6 months, or probably from end beginning of the year to the current month, probably year to date. I want to have my revenue year to date. I just want that measure. So what the measure does for me is just to go to the table and get revenue year to date. And so, but we're going to do one simple measure here, and the measure we'll be doing here is going to be a function of what we have. Okay, so when you click on new measure, you see what we have here, and the name of the measure will be on the left hand side, expression and your expression will be on your right hand side. Okay, so like I said earlier, the function that is being used is what we call DAT, which is known as the data analysis expression. So it has a lot of functions. So and lot of functions. So to those of us that we are used to Excel, yes, you understand how you pick different functions in Excel to write your function to different inbuilt function in Excel to write your own to answer your own maybe task objective. So likewise in DAX too, as we all know that they're all products from Microsoft, and they all have almost the same they follow almost the same pattern. So now I want to create a new measure, but I need to be sure that okay, what do I need the measure for? So and that led me to understand this. So I went back. I'm going to go back to my data to so that I can understand. Okay, what extra things do I need to do? And okay, going back to my data, I feel like okay, um, I discovered that I want to understand. I want to know what is the costs of production. Cost of production. I think here now I don't have a cost of production. I have other field like segment code, country code, product code, and the likes. But now I feel like okay, I need a cost of production, and to get my cost of production, I feel I need to understand okay, what is the unit sold? I can see my unit sold and I see my manufacturing price. So then I feel like okay, let's create a new measure to that. And to do that, there are two ways to do it. So is it that we just create an extra column? So doing an extra column, we just say, okay, can we just multiply this by this and we're fine. And we get things done. But in this case, we are going through the route of measure, and it's still going to be like the same multiplication, still simple multiplication. Okay. So coming to my new measure. So please, I'm going to ask questions maybe next 5 minutes as soon as I'm through with this. So everybody should be ready to answer my question. So I think we have a lot of people in here also. More questions. So I'm going to ask my questions. So you ask me questions so that we can enjoy the class. So okay, so measure. So I want to multiply my cost of production with my sorry, I want to unit sold. I want to multiply unit sold by cost of production. So what I need to do is that I just need to start with a function. So anytime you're using a measure, you always start with something, a function. So there are a lot of functions you can use in DAX. A lot of functions like filter. See, you have a lot of functions depending on the use case you're currently working on. But in this case, we are just going to use them. Some say, okay, some this, and so what I want to do, let's say, um, units sold. Okay, units sold. So once I call that function, once I double click on that, so it's just gonna call my unit sold, and I say, okay, unit sold. I'm closing the bracket, multiply by. Okay, I need to have sum of production, cost of production. Yeah, okay. Unit sold. Okay. Okay, so price. Mm, no, 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 no. That won't work. 1 minute, I'm coming. Let's go back to see. Okay, manufacturing price. Okay, okay. So the manufacturing price. So automatically this is going to tell me the cost of production. So here now I can put production cost. So I could have used cost of production, but I have one measure already on that, so that's why I'm just changing it. So once this is done, then I have my measure ready. So you can see the measure already here. So it's already added as it looks like a field which you can call at any time you need it. So I want to work on a blank sheet by just adding extra blank sheets. So if I should drag my cost of production, then I can see, okay, this is the total cost of production, 76 billion. You should understand that this 76 billion cut across all products, all countries, and product type countries and other parameters. So, but that's not where we're going. So, this cost of production that has been created as a new measure now can also be analyzed as a variable as it is, and we can now decide to say, okay, can we create a bar chart from it? Yes, we can. We can create a bar chart from it, and we use our measure, our new measure, which is called the cost of production. We use it as a value, and we can go ahead and say, okay, maybe we need something around country. Okay, can we break it down by country? Then we had that as our axis, and we are good to go. So this is telling us that, okay, creating new measure called production cost, which is a function of the cost of the which is the cost of production and the volume, the quantity sold. So that tells us that, okay, this is the cost of production per country. And I said something last week, 2 weeks ago, sorry, that we can also add. It doesn't make sense like this when you hover and you make sense, blah blah blah. Doesn't make sense. But you can also say, okay, I want to see my label. So just come to your format pan, and just click label, and you're fine. You're good to go. So you can see the label, fine. So you know it. So that's fine. Okay, so I'm going to do one extra thing before we go, but I want to ask questions because we have a lot of people here. I want to ask questions, and we are also going to uh, bring out questions. Question are like, what do you want us to do? What do you feel like? What have you seen? Like, okay, this is what I want to know. Then, so that we can also make it interactive enough, not just one-sided curriculum. So it can be a two-sided curriculum, both from the student end and also the instructor end. So that's my question. So any question for me? I have around 53 people on my team, so on the line. So at least one question. Let me check the chat. Question. Thank you, Amina.
Hi, Edward.
Hi.
Okay, I think we have one question on chat.
Okay. Thank you, Roland. So Roland is saying, how can one learn that more? Okay. How this can apply to health safety environment? Thank you. I think I'm getting beautiful. Next question. Okay. Starting with Roland, how can you learn DAX more? See, you learn DAX by doing. You learn all programming language by doing. You can they are all the advanced learning, or maybe either on Coursera or on Udemy or on Pluralsight. I think I recommend Pluralsight, that you can learn DAX. And if you want to do it, if you want to learn it, if after learning, pick for instance, we will be working on FINA data. Pick like a real life open source data and work on it. That's only the best way to learn. There are a lot of FINA is saying, okay, I'm open, I want to create these visuals. Pick a FINA project and own it, and try to do it with what you are learning. Then you discover that you're going to improve your DAX skill significantly. So you learn it by doing. So there is no, because the functions are too much. I can't sit you down and say, okay, well, this is what you do, because there are a lot of use cases of DAX function, lots of use cases. So the best way is pick a free project and work on it. And I'm sure before you end that project, you will have developed your DAX function, your DAX skills significantly. Cherry said, what's the difference between quick measure and new quick measure? Okay, so let's see. What's the difference between quick measure and new? I don't understand. Okay, new quick measure is a function of that. There are some. Okay, let's see. Okay. I've not. Okay, yeah. Okay. Like I said earlier, that there are some inbuilt measures that you have in that in on Power BI, inbuilt function. So maybe you are looking for aggregate per category. There are a lot of quick measures. So whereby you might not need to rack your head around how do I write it to the function. So the function is already written. Like what we did something around multiplication, right? So just going to tell you, okay, what's the base value you want to multiply? Okay, like what we did, the same thing we did, the same thing we did. We are multiplying two values together, and we multiplied units sold by units sold by sales price, something like that. And click OK. Okay, so you see it has created a new measure called units sold by sales price, and the same as what I did, like just putting your some functions, blah blah blah, and you're fine. So, and in this case now, just give this guy a name. So what's your name? Cherry. Okay, that's Cherry question, so I know. Okay, so if if you don't need to rack your brain, you don't. That's why I said sometimes you just need to know that some things exist. Don't necessarily you put all the function offhand. So just know it exists, and just understand what you want to do, and you just come here, and the canvas is going to help you and assist you in getting those things done. So that's that. I'm just going to pick two more questions. What's the project again? So a final project. Okay, that's fine. So cool. Um, so we've talked about measures, and there are a lot of measures. Like, thank you, Cherry, so that we understand that you can you can do a lot of things, but everything depends. It's not about to me. I've seen many people say I know Power BI. I've seen many people say I know Python. I've seen many people say I know Excel. I know SQL, but I forget because I see them saying they forgot what they've learned because there's no place to do. The only way to master any tool is by doing. So I'm going to employ us once again. It's not about just scratching the surface so that we can motivate ourselves and get to understand what it is needed of us. Please, when the project is coming live, when everybody will be given a task, please and please put your hand, make your hand, get your hand dirty. And I can tell you, there's no big deal. As soon as you get your hand dirty, you know it. There's no magic. I can tell you, there's no magic. I've seen people who don't know Power BI and they did fantastic job with Power BI. So when the project is ready and maybe we are putting ourselves into a group, anyone that will be assigned to you, please get your hand dirty, get it done. You will learn. You got that. Wow, I never know this tool is this simple. So that's fine. So one thing I one thing I also want us to understand about visuals and Power BI is don't make your visuals very busy. Maybe in my own case, I don't like busy visuals because if it's too busy, you get a lot of things going wrong. Like the user might not find it interesting because there's a lot of information on one page. But there are ways whereby you can maximize a page. Okay, so I'm just going to do something. How do you maximize your page? How do you create almost 4 visuals in one page? How do you maximize? So there's a function which I like us to understand, to know, and the function is called tooltip. So what do we call tooltip? Tooltip is this. So this is France. So when you hover around a bar, you get to understand the distribution. But you can also get a tooltip, and the tooltip will be a new dashboard. So we're just going to do few things. It's interesting. Since the time I saw that functionality and I got to use it, I've always find it very interesting. So we're just going to give it a try. And what we're going to, the objective is that if I over France, can I know can I know what is the, say, product distribution of this value in France? Now I'm only seeing France having 3 million, $3 million. So can I also, at the tooltip, can I also see the product distribution? So to do that, we just need to create one extra sheet called the tooltip. And how do you do that? So let's follow. Okay. So we are picking a new sheet, and we're going to configure this. And the first thing we do is that we configure the page size, and the page size, we just call it tooltip. So that it's not going to be too big, so that the system can understand that, okay, this is a tooltip page. So this is a new page, and we've just configured it as tooltip. Fine. Then what we want to layer on this is the product distribution. Don't forget. So I'm going to let me just call this to tip. Okay, let's call product distribution. Okay, product distribution. So on my product distribution tooltip pan, I just need to create, so we just create this. So we want to create the same. I want to be sure what are we doing here. Okay, sales. Okay, so we're also going to do sales. So we are doing sales by products. We currently have by, okay. So we currently have by product, currently have by country, but now I want to do it by products. So the essence of having a tooltip dashboard is so that on one dashboard you can pass a lot of information without making the dashboard busy. So fine. So if so far we are through with that, we go back to our main dashboard and say, okay, fine. So we come here, and also okay, we look for, where do we have our tooltip? Okay, our tooltip is then we just come here and say, okay. He said, what's the page? He said auto. No, he said we're not going to pick auto. I'm coming. Okay. Okay. So TV is on. Okay. 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 So I'm expecting 1 minute. Okay. So please, in case you have any other questions, so you can ask that question before we get through with this configuration. Mm, Okay. Okay. Tooltip on. Okay. Thank you. Okay. 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 Yeah. Okay. Cool. Fine. Okay. Okay, so the objective is this, like I said, the objective is to have, instead of bringing everything together on one page, like you make your dashboard busy. There's a way you can create an interactive dashboard with all the page you've created in a way that all of them communicate on one single data. So your director or your audience doesn't need to over or probably shift between pages before they understand a deep depth analytics on what is happening. So just a pity that France they only have one product in France, and in okay, one product each. Why is something wrong with our tooltip? Is something wrong? Looks like something is wrong. Because we're expecting to see, okay, expecting to see the full distribution of everything we're doing. Okay, I want to track something and be sure what we did was right. Okay, plus 20K, 24K, 25K is changing, but why do we have just one product? Do we have any? Okay, sorry, we have a filter by product. Sorry, so the stuff was filtered. Sorry. Okay, fine. Okay, this is what we're saying. Okay, sorry. Okay, so there are times, like I said, not making your visuals busy and still being able to do a lot with just one page is going to make your visuals interactive and interesting. Okay, I'm going to entertain open questions. So we have just 15 minutes more. I'm going to entertain open questions. Open questions are like, what other insights do you think we can derive from these results? What other insights? Tell me what we have a lot of insights we can derive. What other insights can we derive from our financial data? So I'm expecting our answers. Okay, I'm with you. So any question, any other insights? Because I want it to be interactive. Let's ask our insights because the tool is not about, to me, Power BI is not about understanding the technicality, but its ability to think outside the box to generate that insight. Most of the time, anybody can learn it too. But the art of you being able to think outside the box and like, okay, what other insight can I generate from this data? That will now lead that's going to bring out the question in you to be able to do more as a visualization expert. Okay. So more questions, and if there's no question to move forward, we'll move on. Okay. Is how to show whether profit has increased or decreased by month. Okay, fine, fine, fine. So yeah, thank you. Is making sense. So we're just gonna add another one for it. So anybody that asks question, I'm going to name that page with their name so that we'll know that okay, this page is for it. So if you don't ask questions, at the end of the day, when we are collating our score, um maybe we'll give you a bonus, but those that has that ask question, are we able to do things, they have something to their name. Interesting. So I want to do something if the profit increase. So very interesting. So just pick, we're picking about plots, and what we're going to pick is we're picking profit. So we're just going to drag profit in as the value, and the axis we just had you said months. Okay, let's add our months. So this is showing doing it ascending order. So we won't use that month. We use dates. So let's see. Okay, fine. Just remove this here. Remove the quarter. Fine. So this shows us the monthly distribution, and automatically a card for total units sold. Okay. So so we can see that October had the highest profits. I don't know. Yeah, they had the highest profit in October and December. So especially the last quarter of the year, they are the highest sales. So I think the product is affected by seasonal variations. So that's why they have this. And Roland said we should add a card for total sold. So in this case, just bring in the card and say, okay, total sold. Okay, well, let's keep total sold here, but I know unit sold. Okay, unit sold. So it said 1.1 million, 1.1 million, but I want to be sure that okay, total sold. Okay, so we're fine. So we have that, and that makes it interesting that we can understand. So any other question before we move on? Any other thing? Okay. There's another thing. I always remember the question. One of the question I was asked during the panel discussion, and the question is, how do we visualize, say, um, a target? Um, please, 30 seconds. Okay, sorry for the break in transmission. Okay, so I said I remember the question that was asked around how do we measure maybe a target, a KPI. So everybody has a KPI, and everybody's given a KPI, and how do you track that KPI? So there's a chart that can be used for monitoring your KPI, especially in terms of a numerical KPI. Maybe you are tracking number of customers you've acquired, number of sales you've made, and things like that. So it's a very direct and simple tool. I'm just going to do one. I'm just going to do one extra one here, and so to do that, we just need to call our gauge chart. Okay, I just need to call my gauge chart, and I need to insert my value. So for instance, now if what I'm tracking is discount, yeah, I don't know if discount will work. Oh, maybe discount is not numeric. That's why. Do you know? Okay. Let's change this. Let's change this. Okay. Sales, sales, sales. Okay. So we have our sales plan, and to configure to set up the sales our gauge. There are a lot of input it takes in. It takes in the value, and that's the value you have here. And also you can decide what's going to be the minimum value. By default, the minimum value is 0, but you can set say okay, the minimum value should be a particular threshold, and you can also set the maximum threshold. So now you can your minimum value can be a field or it can be anything. So when you get into production, sometimes times I've used this, my minimum values, especially my maximum value is always a value, because for instance now every product has its own target KPI that each group should meet. So, but we can also, if you are not making use of the field, we can set it up manually and using what we call the gauge axis. And we can say, okay, this is 822K. So we can now say, okay, the target is 90K. So if the target is 90K, you can say that, okay, the our sales price is tending towards is getting close to the target we set. And we can also say, okay, the maximum here should be 100, so that we can a bit, okay, fine, so that we can make it more interesting, so that it can depict the message which we expect it to depict. And that makes it very fine that, okay, it's the sales price should move from 0 when we don't have a sales, and your target should be 90. And maybe they say, okay, the maximum sales you should have for the year is 100K, but your target is 90K. If you're able to beat target 90K, then you're fine. And that shows us how we can build what we call a gauge chart in Power BI. So, and we should understand that another thing is that you can filter. Okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that on this. I'm going to do that on this. For instance, now I can apply a filter to this page alone. So these are practical things I've seen in a situation whereby, okay, if I'm filtering and it's affecting everything, I said, okay, I don't want it to affect everything. Like this page should not be affected by all other filters. I just want to have a customized filter for it. Then we go on like this and say, okay, so if I want to have a customized filter for this, so what I just need to do is when you click on this, you see the filter pan, and this already has a filter by country, because it's a country it's grouped by the country. But you can also add another filter, and you specify that, okay, this chart should only show for maybe a particular target. And to do that, maybe I just need to bring say segment. Let me for instance bring segment here, and I have a lot of segment, and I say, okay, so please this visuals, the profit by country should only be for the government segment. So this filter is a customized filter. So there are times we use this customized filter to say, okay, this is just for the government, not everybody. And but when you're doing things like that, you need to label it well, so that anybody that is seeing it, they know, okay, um, okay, this, oh, Okay, so we get to understand that, okay, so that anybody that sees it will know, okay, it's just for the government segment, and that makes sense. So you can see that you won't be able to. So in case you, the rest will still go for other or I say other segments. It's still going to contain the all other charts. Will still speak to every other thing in totality. But this has been layered down to what we want it to do. And the question here by is, can we drill down in highest month to how much products? Wow, interesting. So I'm going to final question I'm going to answer today is that of Ace, and let's see. The question is, can we drill down the highest month to how much sales, how much product? So that's interesting. So what we can do is, to me, if I would do this, I would just have added, an extra tool tip for that question, so that I won't make my visuals busy. So we're just going to do two tips for that too. This is drill down products. Okay, I think we have product distribution. Sorry, we have a product distribution already. Okay, so okay, let's just call the two tips. So far we have product distribution already, and we just come to the two tip configuration here and call the product distribution. And page is product distribution. Fine. So that works. That makes it fine. So I think that answered the question. So with this now, we can drill down that, okay, the highest products, the products with the highest sale is Velo. And let's see, is that product? It might be okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Sincerely, I like that. I like that question. Sincerely, it's highly insightful, because when you check in January, Velo is not the highest, is not the most chosen product. But when you get to October, Velo has now become the most sought after. So that means there's an insight, or probably there's a customer behavior that is tending towards the product. Maybe there's a lot of campaign that was done in October, and let's see in December, is Velo still making wave? No, Velo is not making wave in September. So can we say it's by chance? Maybe there's a strong campaign that was done during that time, and I will just infer that there's a ripple effect of the campaign that was done in October to what we can see in November, because Velo is now coming second, and Passio. Okay, Passio started making wave in November, and also in December is still making wave, so that's making sense. So thank you, Ace, for that. I think we are good to go. I don't know if there's any question. Please, how can I download? So please, you can meet any of, I think somebody will reach out to you, Olabode, Oloshode, on how you can download. A link will be shared with you on how you can download the software on your laptop. So thank you. Please, do you have any other question before we call it a day? And I see that most people don't engage me, don't ask me question on the group. Though I might look busy, but I, at least sometimes I still expect questions on the group. Maybe by the time we start giving you guys assignments, when we go live on our project, maybe then we understand that we need to ask questions. I know by that time we are going to bombard with a lot of questions. So, but I'm always expecting questions, and I will try to answer them. So thank you very much for your time. It's a nice, it's an opportunity to be here. So over to you, Amina. Amina, um,
Hello, Edward.
hi.
Hi, thank you so much for taking us today. It's really an amazing section. and I believe everyone on this call learned a thing or two. I'm also surprised why we are not asking questions. But either way, when assignments start dropping and all classworks and all, I believe questions will start.
Hello, Babatunde. Hello.
Hi, Edward.
Okay, Amina, you're back.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had a slight network issue. Yeah, so thank you so much. I think you covered most of the questions on the chat already. Yeah, even the first class. Emmanuel, the recording is on the Google Classroom. I can affirm that it's on the Google Classroom. The recording was uploaded there, including the data set that is being used currently. I was shared with by Edward in the first class. It's already in the Google Classroom. So the first thing is you first need to make sure that you are actually in this cohort 1B. Otherwise, I would advise you go to your selected cohorts. That's another thing. We have several cohorts. So this is cohort 1B, and Edward is the assigned mentor for cohort 1B. And all resources that is currently using are already on the Google Classroom. So exactly, so cohort 4, yeah, I thought as much. So this is cohort 1B again. So the resources for cohort 1B and cohort 4 are not the same. And even cohort 4, we have about 4 splits in cohort 4. There is cohort 4A, cohort 4B, cohort 4C, and cohort 4D. So you even need to first identify, yes, you're in cohort 4. Which of the cohort 4? Is it cohort 4A? Is it cohort 4B? Is it cohort 4C or cohort 4D? Then you'll be able to access the resources that are being assigned to your selected cohort. So I hope that explains it. Oh, okay, that must have been an error. Sorry about that. So do we have any questions pertaining to what was taught today? Let's take questions for that. Otherwise, we can continue the interaction with Edward on the Google Classroom for those who are in cohort 1B. And again, today was a very interesting class. Thank you so much, Edward. So let's give in 2 minutes for questions. Otherwise, we'll see you in the next live stream. Thank you. Questions?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Hi.
Hi, please, where can we get maybe a site or website where we can get projects someone can just be working around with for Power BI?
Okay, Edward, I guess that question is for you. Yeah, the expert. Edward. Okay. Okay.
Okay,
I will
okay,
answer that.
sorry, I was
Okay,
on
all right.
mute.
All right.
Okay, to the question. So the project we'll be working with, so we have a live project, and that's a final. So I think I'm going to work with the DSN team to make the data available. So that
Okay, Edward. So she was asking actually where she can have access to other hands-on projects she can use to practice aside the one we're currently working on. Right,
okay.
Sherry? That was your question.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. So on that regard, so any cargo data set that is that has a well-defined column, Like you'll be hearing the likes of Titanic. You hear the likes of, there are a lot of data. You like the hear of the likes of maybe only Olympic history, football history, or probably Olympic game history. So any data set that you have there, maybe you can even go to stock exchange and say, okay, I want to visualize the Nigerian stock exchange across different parameters, or probably you want to visualize the economic variables of Nigeria. Maybe you're trying to visualize GDP. It's not necessarily everything is scientific, like something that runs through Python, probably machine learning. So you can just make it an economical visuals. Okay, you want to visualize, you want to analyze our GDP and all other features, factors that are affecting it. So there are lots of data, any data at all. You can even say, okay, I want to analyze transport. All these BRT buses, you can analyze their data. You can just go online, analyze data around transportation, where they tell you, okay, how many buses are available in Oshodi terminal and what is the time it takes. So with that, you can even create a very interactive dashboard for them that will enable them to understand how people are moving from one cluster to another, depending on the time of the day, something like that. So any data set that you lay your hands on, and you can also lay your hands on, if it is health related data sets, you can also work around them. So you can just go online, anything you feel like you're interested in, go online, and I'm very sure you're going to see one or two data to play with.
All right,
So
thank you very much.
Thank
and
you.
sincerely, I will be available in case you have any question during visualization. Then I can say I will be 100% available to walk you through maybe some other technical things you need to know during development. And this goes to every other person that wants to be hands-on. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Edward. Yeah, so I think we'll call it off here. So we'll take every other questions on the Google Classroom. I want to also emphasize that we should also try to engage Edward on the Google Classroom. Just like he has just said, you'll be available to provide technical support to others. So please make use of the opportunity and engage Edward as much as you can on the Google Classroom. Thank you once again, Edward, and thank you to everyone who has joined today's session. See you all in the next live stream, which will be 2 weeks from now. Enjoy the rest of your evening, your day, wherever you joined us from. Bye, everyone.
All right, bye.
Bye, everyone.